Hey guys, and welcome to the Command Tower. We make EDH Deck Techs. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, check out our TCG player affiliate link in the description below. If you use it, it helps out a lot. Today's deck is an Ich-Tekik and Keskit deck. Ich-Tekik is a 1/1. Then when it enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token. Then, whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on him and a 1/1 counter on each Golem you control. Keskit is 1/3 that has tap, sacrifice 3 other artifacts and/or creatures, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand, and the other into your graveyard. So basically, this deck is going to be playing a whole lot of artifacts, then we're going to be sacrificing them with our commander or with other cards, and we're going to do that once we have a bunch of golems out, and when that happens, we're going to be putting 1/1 counters on all of them. So we're going to buff up our golems, then we're going to attack for a lot of damage. Total price of this deck is $25.35. This is according to TCG Player. It does not include the price of basic lands. So let's get into the deck. First off, we got ramp. Since we're going to be sacrificing artifacts, we're going to have a lot of artifact themed ramp. Guardian Idol enters the battlefield taps for colorless. You can pay 2, and it becomes a 2/2 golem artifact creature on turn. So you can turn it into a golem and put some 1/1 counters on it maybe. Unstable Obelisk taps for colorless, or you can pay 7, tap it, sacrifice it, destroy a permanent. Commander Sphere taps for 1 mana of any color, you can sacrifice it to draw a card. And both those, when you're sacrificing it, you're going to get 1/1 counters on your golems. Replicating Ring, it taps for 1 mana of any color. At the beginning of your upkeep, you put a night counter on it. Then if it has 8 or more night counters on it, move all of them, create 8 colorless snow artifact tokens named Replicating Ring. With tap, add 1 mana of each color. It may not seem super good for the deck, but if it works out and you get all the copies, you can always sacrifice them. Hedron Archive taps for 2 colors. You can pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it, draw 2 cards. Dreamstone Hedron taps for 3 colors. You can pay 3, tap it, sacrifice it, draw 3 cards. Once again, sacrificing it will get 1/1 counters. Solemn Simulacrum. It's a golem, so that's already helpful. When it enters the battlefield, you can search the library for a basic land card, put that card on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. Then, when it dies, you can draw a card. So, it's going to benefit off of you sacrificing it. Burnished Heart. You can pay 3, sacrifice it, search your library for 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. Then, Michaelson's Wellspring. When it enters the battlefield, or is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you can search the library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. So we can play that, and then sacrifice it, and make sure we don't miss a land drop. Terrarian enters the battlefield tapped. You pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it, add 2 mana in any combination of colors. When it's put into a graveyard in the battlefield, you draw a card. It may not be very good ramp, but if we really need to, we can just sacrifice it with our commander, and draw a card. Foundry Inspector. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And then Droid's Familiar. His flying and historic spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Those are both really good because this deck is going to have a whole lot of artifacts. Then we just got a whole bunch of golems so that we can buff them up and attack for a lot of damage. Conversion Chamber. Pay 2, tap it, exile target artifact card from a graveyard, put a charge counter on it. And then you pay 2, tap it, remove a charge counter from it, put a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token on the battlefield. We're already going to be sacrificing artifacts, so we can exile them from our graveyard if we want, and it's going to help us make golems. Golem Foundry. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you put a charge counter on it, remove 3 charge counters from it, put a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token on the battlefield. And we're going to be casting a whole lot of artifacts. Birthing Vows. You pay 4, tap it, create a 2/2 colorless shapeshifter creature token with Changeling, so it counts as a golem. Maul Splicer. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature tokens on the battlefield, then golem creatures you control have trampled, which is going to be super useful because we're going to be putting a lot of 1/1 counters on them, but they're not going to have trample, so when we play this, they will have trample, and we can make sure we deal a lot of damage. Vital Splicer. When it enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token. You pay 1, you regenerate target golem you control. Golem Artisan. You can pay 2, target artifact creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Or if you pay 2, target artifact creature gains your choice of flying, trample, or haste until end of turn, which we're going to have a lot of artifact creatures. Brass Herald. When he enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type, and you're going to choose Golem. When he enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all creature cards of the chosen type revealed this way into your hand. The rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And then, creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1. So, that's just going to help you out a lot. Ginger Brute has haste. If you pay 1, he can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. Or, you can pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it, you gain 3 life. This may seem okay for a 1 mana, but if we keep putting 1/1 counters on it, and then we can basically make it unblockable with his first ability, it can deal a lot of damage. Howling Golem. When it attacks or blocks, each player draws a card. Beast of Burden. Its power and toughness are equal number of creatures in play, so it could probably be a pretty big creature. Maelstrom Colossus just has Cascade. Guardian of the Ages has Defender, and then when a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, if it has Defender, it loses Defender and gains Trample. And then Salvage Titan. You can sacrifice 3 artifacts rather than pay its mana cost. Then you can exile 3 artifact cards from your graveyard to return it from your graveyard to your hand. This is great because we're going to be sacrificing artifacts, so we can sacrifice them to get them back and just play them again. Then we got some other cards that can make artifacts for us to sacrifice. Thopter Assembly has flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control no Thopters other than Thopter Assembly, you return it to his owner's hand. Create 5 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. This is a very, very good card in the deck because we can just sacrifice those Thopters and then play this again and get more Thopters. Slider Questioner has Improvise. Whenever a non-token artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. So you're just going to get even more artifacts that you can either just attack with or sacrifice. Mirror Battlesphere. When it enters the battlefield, create 4 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature tokens. When it attacks, you may tap X untap mirror you control. If you do, it gets +X/+0 till end of turn, deals X damage to the player or planeswalkers attacking. So, once again, we're going to get artifacts that we can either sacrifice or use them to make this bigger and deal damage. Animation Module. Whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are placed on a permanent you control, you can pay 1. If you do, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. Then you pay 3, tap it, choose a counter on target permanent or player. Give that permanent or player another counter of that kind. It may not seem super good, but you're going to be putting 1/1 counters on your golems. And when you're doing that, you can pay 1 to create a 1/1 artifact. You can sacrifice that artifact to get more 1/1s on your golems. And it's kind of a combo. Servo Schematic. When it enters the battlefield, it is put into a graveyard from the battlefield. Create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. Renegade's Getaway. Target permanent gains indestructible till end of turn. Create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. And then Shimmermere, which doesn't really get us artifacts, but it has flash, and then you can cast artifact spells as though you had flash. Since we have a lot of artifact spells, we can play them at the best time possible. Then we got a couple sacrifice outlets for our artifacts, but we won't need too many because our commander is going to be our main sacrifice outlet. Throne of Geth. Tap it, sacrifice an artifact, proliferate, which is going to be great for this deck because we're putting 1/1 counters on our golems, so we'll get more 1/1 counters. Claws of Gix. You pay 1, sacrifice a permanent, you gain 4 life, and it's only 0 mana. So, if you really need to get a lot of damage in at once, you can always pay a bunch of mana and sacrifice a lot of artifacts to get a lot of 1/1 counters. Koldoth the Forge Master. Tap it, sacrifice 2 artifacts, search your library for an artifact card and put it on the battlefield, shuffle your library. So basically, you just get some of your best artifacts onto the battlefield. Then we got some cards that benefit from artifacts going to our graveyard. Fangren Marauder. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you gain 5 life. Which, don't underestimate this, because this is going to gain you a crap ton of life. Moriok Rigger. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from play, put a 1/1 counter on it. Disciple of the Vault. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you can have target opponent lose 1 life. Marionette Master has Fabricate 3. Whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power, which can make some opponents lose a whole lot of life. Summoning Station. It taps to put a 2/2 colorless pincer creature token into play. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from play, untap it. So basically, we're going to be tapping this to make 2/2s, sacrificing artifacts, and we're just going to keep making more 2/2s. Then we can either attack with them, or we can sacrifice them too. Then we got some cards to get the artifacts we sacrifice back from the graveyard to the battlefield or our hand. Mirror Retriever. When it dies, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. And then Workshop Assistant is the same thing. So both of those, we can sacrifice them and get cards back. Scrap Trawler. It's probably one of the best cards in the deck. Whenever it or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with a lesser compared to mana costs. So, we're going to be sacrificing a whole lot of artifacts, and we're just going to keep getting those artifacts back. Arcbound Reclaimer. Move a 1 counter from it, put target artifact card from a graveyard on top of your library. Then it has Modular 2. This may not seem super good, but it's a golem. So we're going to be putting 1/1 counters on it with our commander, so we can keep removing them to get the best cards from our graveyard on top of our library. Then we got some card advantage. Trading Post. You pay 1, tap it, discard a card you gain for life. Pay 1, tap it, pay 1 life, create a 0/1 white goat creature token. Pay 1, tap it, sacrifice a creature. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Or you can pay 1, tap it, sacrifice an artifact to draw a card. Now you're probably only going to do the last 2 modes, but they're going to be so useful because they're going to get you more cards so you don't run out. Tamio's Journal. At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. So you're making a clue token. And you can tap it, sacrifice 3 clues, search your library for a card, put that card in your hand and shuffle your library. This is a great card because either we're going to sacrifice our clues to draw cards by paying 2 mana, we can sacrifice the clues with our commander or with other sacrifice outlets, or we can sacrifice the clues with this card to get the best cards in our deck. So it has a lot of purposes. Acre Wellspring. When it enters the battlefield or is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you draw a card, so you're going to sacrifice it. Costly Plunder. Has additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature, and then draw 2 cards. Fortuitous Find. Choose 1 or both. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand, or return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and chances are you'll have both in your graveyard. Inspiring Call. Draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it, then those creatures gain indestructible till end of turn. This is great because we're going to put 1/1 counters on our golems, and even if we don't draw that many cards, giving them indestructible is going to be a great help. Elemental Bond. Whenever a creature with power 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you draw a card. And most of the golems have power 3 or greater. And then Colossal Majesty. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you draw a card. Then we got some removal. Meteor Golem. When it enters the battlefield, destroy a target non-land permanent opponent controls. And it's also a golem. Executioner's Capsule. You pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it. Destroy a target non-black creature, so it's going to go to your graveyard. Parasitic Implant. Chain a creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, chain creature's controller sacrifices it. Create a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature token, and you can sacrifice that 1/1. Armix Filigree Thrasher. Whenever it attacks, you can discard a card. Then, when you do, target creature defending player controls gets -X on a turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control, plus the number of artifacts and cards in your graveyard, which should be a whole lot, so he should be able to kill almost anything on the board. Goblin Boomkitic. At the beginning of your upkeep, you sacrifice it, and when it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to target creature or player. It may not seem very good, but the plan is you play this, and before your next upkeep, you're going to sacrifice it with your commander or something else, and you're going to deal 3 damage or something, and you're going to get some cards out of it from sacrificing it. Spine of Ich-Tekik. When it enters the battlefield, destroy a target permanent. When it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you return it to its owner's hand. So for 7 mana, it's not super good, but we can sacrifice it, get it back, and if we really need more removal, we can play it again. Root out, destroy target artifact or enchantment, then investigate, start making a clue token, and then Nevinyrral's Disc. Enters the battlefield tapped, and you pay 1, tap it, destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. And lastly, we've got lands. Golgari Guildgate enters the battlefield tapped, taps our Golgari colors. Violet Orchard is the same. Jungle Hollow is the same, but you gain a life. Golgari Rot Farm enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Taps for both the Golgari colors. Darksteel Citadel has indestructible, and it taps for colors, but it's also an artifact land, so we could sacrifice it if we really need to. Foundry of the Consuls taps for colors. You pay 5, tap it, sacrifice it, create 2 1/1 colors, stop your artifact creature tokens with flying, which then we can attack with them or sacrifice them. Buried Ruin taps for colors. Pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it, return target artifact card from a graveyard to your hand. Sequestered Stash taps for colors. Pay 4, tap it, sacrifice it, put the top 5 cards of your library into your graveyard, then put an artifact card from a graveyard on top of your library. Both those can you get your really good artifacts back. Phyrexi's Core, it taps your colors. Pay 1, tap it, sacrifice an artifact, you gain 1 life. So if we really don't have any sacrifice outlets, we can really use that. Dread Statuary, it taps your colors. You pay 4, becomes a 4/2 Golem artifact creature until end of turn. It's still land. So, if it becomes a Golem, if we really need it to, we can put a couple 1/1 counters on it and attack. Ruins of Oran-Reef, enters battlefield tapped, and taps your colors. You tap it to put a 1 counter on target colorless creature, enters battlefield this turn. So, a lot of us are Golems, are colors, so we're going to put 1/1 counters on them. Rogue's Passage, taps your colors, you pay 4, tap it, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So, we're going to have some pretty big Golems from putting 1/1 counters on them, so we can make it unblockable. Grim Backwoods, it taps your colors, you can pay 4, tap it, sacrifice a creature, draw a card. Then Golden Guardian, which isn't really a land, but we're going to want to get it to the land side as fast as possible, has Defender. If you pay 2, it fights another target creature you control. Then when it dies this turn, return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. Then it becomes a land that taps for 2 mana of any 1 color 2 mana pool. Or you can pay 4, tap it, create a 4/4 colors Golem artifact creature token. Then we've got 12 swamps, and then 12 forests. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.